A week ago, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries decided on an immediate quarantine on livestock in Kampala after an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Rubaga Division last month. This called for a halt to movement of cattle, goats, sheep, pigs and their products and byproducts within Kampala and from without until further notice.
The problem is because people think that this is an inept group of scientists who don't know what they are doing, an inept group of people who don't know what they are doing, and that we are playing the dice there with setting up quarantine. So what they do, they don't adhere to this quarantine, and even between the 21 or 14 days we get a case, we are going to continue with the quarantine until we have days, 21 clear days with no cases. 21 or 14, I don't know which one it is.
The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Major General Kyomukama, says the best way to deal with foot and mouth disease is to break down transmission. But with authorities in Kampala yet to start implementing the quarantine, we asked the permanent secretary what he had to say about the enforcement.
There will be enforcement, whether by police, whether by who.
However, Kampala Lord Mayor Arias Lukwago says that Kampala Capital Authority received a letter calling for quarantine yesterday.
First and foremost, it has been handled in a very sloppy manner. You can see how these people have been writing letters and without making a follow-up, taking a week for a letter to move from point A to point B. Can you imagine a whole week?
For his part, Lukwago says the implementation in Kampala is not feasible.
There were no mechanisms of enforcing it, not even liaising with the local governments to ensure that their directives have been enforced. I am quite sure this quarantine, which had been earlier on imposed on a number of districts, had not been enforced. So, this is the reason the crisis has escalated.
But these concerns have sparked worries about the safety of consumption of the meat. Professor Anthony Mujisha from Makerere University says that humans cannot contract foot and mouth disease from consuming products of infected animals.
Especially in our setup, it has not, and it is rare. It's very rare. So, like what we are talking about, that's the academic knowledge, but in terms of practical experience or practical occurrence, it cannot.
So you can enjoy your meat and pork.
Where will you get it from?
But if it's available, can we?
It's available, eat it. But the issue is now with quarantine. Where will you get it from?
Human being, man, woman, or child, cannot get foot and mouth disease from eating the carcass of an animal that has died of foot and mouth disease, or even drinking milk from it.
Experts say the quarantine is meant to prevent the spread of the disease from one farm to another, as this is likely to have a massive impact on trade and production.
Foot and mouth disease is mainly a production disease. It seriously disrupts production of animals in terms of milk production. If it affects a herd of highly producing animals, you can find a cow which has been producing 20 liters, it goes to none, to zero.
Norbert at Kunda, NTV Weekend Edition.